All of it, my device still problem আছে.
Headphone to system লগত configure হোৱা নাই চাগে
Namaskar, Suprabhat. On behalf of Narangi Anchalik Mahavidyalaya, I welcome our speaker and participants to the national webinar organized by Faculty of Commerce in collaboration with IQAC of Narangi Anchalik Mahavidyalaya. Myself, Umeshwar Kolita, Assistant Professor, Department of Geography and Technical Coordinator of this webinar, feel extremely happy to inform you that Dr. Simun Kumar Nath, Sir of Dibrugarh University, is present with us to share his knowledge and experiences on the topic Social Sense and Indian Advertisement, a Kaleidosope. Hope the discussion will be beneficial for all of us. Before the webinar starts, I would like to request our esteemed participants to consider the following. Kindly keep your device on mute mode during the webinar. Please don't press presentation button because it will affect both audio and video of all participants. Feedback link will be shared during question and answer session for half an hour only. Participants will have to fill up their feedback form within that time. Participants are requested to ask their question only in Google Meet and YouTube chat box. Selected questions will be discussed during question and answer session. Cooperation from your side is highly solicited. Thank you. Now I request Rita Sharma ma'am, Coordinator IQAC and Head of the Department of Education, to start the session. Over to you, Rita Sharma.
Thank you, Mr. Kolita. Namaskar and a very good morning to you all. I, Rita Sharma, take the privilege to welcome you all on behalf of IQAC to this national webinar organized by the Department of Commerce in collaboration with IQAC of Narangi Anchalik Mahavidyalaya. Today we have with us Dr. Simun Kumar Nath, Sir of Dibrugarh University. Welcome to the webinar, sir. This webinar will be inaugurated by our principal, Dr. Hajarika ma'am. After that, our esteemed guest will be introduced before us by the Kolita of Commerce Department. After the deliberation of our resource person, there will be a question and answer session conducted by Vipasa Sharma and Bonita Rauti of Commerce Department, where our queries will be answered by our regular resource person. This will be followed by vote of thanks by Pallavi Chaudhary, HOD of Commerce Department. She will then hand over the webinar to Rita Dr. Hajarika ma'am, principal of our college, to declare the webinar over. So, wishing the webinar a grand success, may I now request our principal, Rita Dr. Hajarika ma'am, to say a few words and inaugurate the webinar. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Rita Sharma. Organizer, I'd like to take 3 minutes instead of two minutes today. Okay? Namaskar, everyone. On behalf of Narangi Anchalik Mahavidyalaya, I would like to thank every one of you participating in this webinar. I also want to thank the organizing committee of this webinar, the faculties of commerce and IQAC members of the college. This webinar is series number 14. We have started our journey of arranged webinar from 7 July last month. Within this period, we have organized 14 numbers of webinar, including today's one. There is 4 international and 10 national webinar, and we are very fortunate to have 18 numbers of resource persons from various parts of India and abroad. Everyone had enlightened us, and we are grateful to them. I hope such a good work will come out in the future time too. I am thankful to all my faculty members who have organized national or international webinars to the best of their ability. My special thanks to Mr. Kalita, Associate Professor of Geography, and Kaushik Kalita, LDA of our college, who tried their level best to improve the technical side of each and every webinar. Today, we are very fortunate to have with us an eminent resource person from Dibrugarh University, Assam, India, to grace this webinar. I would like to extend my heartfelt welcome to Dr. Simon Kumar Nath, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Commerce of the said university. Sir, I welcome you to today's webinar on the topic Social Change and Indian Advertisements, Kaleidosope. Now, I would like to extend my hearty welcome to my dear participants, my colleagues, and students to this interesting webinar. I also extend my warm welcome to the YouTube viewers of this webinar. I hope the webinar will be great in success, and I hope you will enjoy it. Have a good time. Thank you. Gimli, unmute yourself.
Thank you, Principal Ma'am. Good morning and a very warm welcome to one and all present here. I, Rimli Kalita, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Commerce, take this privilege to introduce before you our resource person of today's webinar, Dr. Chimun Kumar Nath sir. Dr. Nath sir is an Associate Professor and presently carrying out the responsibility of Head of the Department of Commerce, Dibrugarh University. Sir is specialized in entrepreneurial finance, human resource development, customer psychology, and consumer behavior. Before joining the teaching fraternity, Dr. Nath sir has served the corporate sector for 4.5 years. He is also the coordinator of the Center for Entry into Services, as well as Entrepreneurship and Skill Development Cell. Sir has presented various papers in more than 115 national as well as international seminars and has 4 publications in various research journals of repute so far. 7 PhDs and 22 MPhil scholars have worked with him to attain their degrees and few are on the cards. Today, we are fortunate enough to have Sir amongst us, and on behalf of Narangi Anchalik MAHAVIDYALAYA family, I once again welcome Sir and request him to deliver his valuable presentation. Thank you, Sir, and over to you, Sir.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rimli, for such a lovely introduction. And I really acknowledge the presence of the principal madam of the college, Madam Hazarika. And I also do acknowledge the presence of Madam Sharma, the IQAC coordinator. I would like to acknowledge the presence of the technical coordinator, Sir Kalita. And then along with that, all the coordinators and in fact, the entire team of this Narangi Anchalik MAHAVIDYALAYA. And I'm really thankful to all of you that you have given me a chance to deliver a kind of a webinar which is very much interesting in nature, because the title itself goes that we are talking about the social changes in India, as well as how this advertisements, the Indian advertisement has an impact onto it. So, well, the topic is very, very interesting, but I am not sure, like, how far I will make it interesting for you. But let me have a try. And since you people are showing that particular interest, so I'm sure that everything will go in the right direction. So, can you just give me a few moments so that I can go with the presentation of my slides? Just a few moments, please. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for the confirmation. And the topic is the social change and Indian advertisement, a kaleidoscopic view that I am going to reveal in front of you. Now, when we talk about the social change, perhaps what actually comes to our mind is that it is basically a process of evolution, because if you look into a societal development, everywhere you will find that it is a kind of an evolution. Every time it is evolving, and it has taken a different changes during their particular course of journey. So that's why what we have seen that in the social chains, we are basically focusing on several aspects. But out of that, today, actually, I am picking up only four because of the time constraint. But then I'll be focusing the four primary, factors into account. The one is basically the conformity. Yes, social change actually gives us a little bit of conformity to our life. Then the status quo, that is very, very important in our life, and the social change brings us kind of status quo to us. And then continuity, that is it's a process. It will be going on and on. So that's why the social change also gives us that particular features, that continuity in our life. And then also the evolution, because evolution is always there. As perhaps you might have agreed with me with a one particular statement, that in this world nothing is permanent except the change. So we have to accept that particular point. Yes, the evolution is also one of the factor of social change. Moving on, now we're talking about the Indian market. Now this is where actually we have to be focused on what we have seen over the years. Perhaps in many of the taxes, many of the write-ups, you might have seen that about 66%, 67%, or 68%. I mean, the percentage keep on varying, but then people say that so much of percentage of people in India lives in rural areas. Now that's why if I talk about the Indian market as a whole, perhaps our focus is basically more into the rural market rather than that of the urban market. Yes, I'm not saying that having stated all these particular statements, I do not want to mean that yes, the urban market is not that very important. But at the same time, if I look into by the percentage of the people, the stakeholders, in that case, we have seen that in the rural market, yes, the focus is more, especially if I am being a marketer and want to launch my product in India. Obviously, my first target is basically with the rural market, because this is a market which I need to encash on. So if I look into some of the characteristics of the rural India, what I have seen that rural India is consisting about like 127 million households. It's a huge number. Let me tell you once again that it is a huge number in front of us. And of these, only 54% have the access to the conventional media, such as TVs, then the satellite phones, and the radios or cinemas. Now, this particular statistics of a little bit, say, I can say 1 year before, and today, of course, the situation may be changing, especially in terms of the satellite phones and all, because with the pandemic and with the requirement as such is now coming with a new normal philosophy. Perhaps there must be a certain changes that might have occurred in this particular percentage. But let me tell you, even it will not be a huge changes, but still, if we look into that, 54% is only exposed to all this kind of medias. Because when I'm talking about an advertisement, I'll be really focusing on the media through which that particular communication has been made. The marketers used to communicate it to the end users. So that's why we have such a small, I mean, not exactly small, but then we have a kind of a, in between percentage of exposure. Then because of the differences across the regions, be it geographical differences or that of religious differences or that of the caste creed or whatever you term it, in India, since there are so many heterogeneous aspects are in offer, so that's why as a marketer it is extremely unpredictable to understand this particular market and the possess it, as because this particular market also possesses certain special features. Now, to tap this particular market, the advertiser must understand certain things like, first of all, the rural perceptions, which is very, very important. Then the values, what they carry, and the traditions, what they are holding on. Now, these are the three things which is very, very important for us to, as a marketer, for us to understand about the rural India, that their perception, the rural people's perceptions, their values, and the traditions. And along with that, of course, the urban perceptions, values, and traditions also we need to take into consideration. And at certain point of time, what we have seen that there may be a mixed match situations, but still considering a huge cake lying in the rural area. So that's why our focus is basically more onto the rural part. Now, rural consumers trust known names. That is very, very interesting that they only trust the known names and purchase products that are in line with their aspirations. Whatever is their aspirations, they only, buy the product in that particular line only. They as because as I said that, only 54% means what? That they are not fully exposed to the rest of the products which are on offer, and as a result, all the brands are not aware. I mean, they are not quite aware about all the brands, and because of that only, they just trust only those known names, the names which are available, which are readily accessible, readily available in their places. They only those products, only those aspects, they like they like it, and or they trust it, and they only confine their purchase to those particular products only. Then rural consumers in India now, if I look into, after say this new millennium, I mean, once this, millennium started, and then afterwards, if you look into probably what we have seen that these rural consumers in India are now becoming brand conscious. They are now at least could understand what is a brand, and the brand consciousness part is emerging in their lifestyle. And another interesting aspect that is available in Indian situation is what that it consists of approximately 20,000 plus ethnic groups and about 24 languages and 1,642 dialects, and it exhibits an extremely diverse and a heterogeneous market. If I go by this particular statistics only, at least every one of us can easily understand that why it is not that uniform. I mean, there is no uniformity into the market, and why it is very, very difficult actually for a marketer to crack that the different market segments in the rural areas. And that's why it is really a big challenge for the marketeers basically to make an entry and to exit and to do their process in the market, and then finally if they want to exit, and then also for each of the stages it is very, very challenging for them to carry on. Now, another interesting genesis, I mean, if I look into from Indian perspective, Indian marketing perspective, here we have our emotions are very, very strong. The people, the in general people, let me tell you here, when I'm saying all these things, I'm not generalizing as a whole, but then on an average, I'm giving you the figure that on an average, the average Indian, consumers or the customers, whatever you term it, their emotions are very, very strong. They are more into the emotional content rather than that thinking the things from a rational point of view. And interestingly, in many of the cases in India, we have observed that the people of India's perceptions are comparatively stronger than the attitude. Now, this is very, very interesting because, at times, if we go by the theory, what we have understood, what we understand from the theory is that the perceptions is a very short-term phenomenon. It may keep on changing, or, it changes frequently. Once the perception, one type of perception is created, and immediately after a certain event, that particular perception got changed, it got distorted. Like that way, the perception is a very short-term phenomena, and then the attitude is more or less is a deep-seated ideas, deep-seated rooted things. This is what the theory says. But what we have seen, if I looking it from a marketing perspective, in Indian situation, most of the people across India, you will find that their perceptions are comparatively stronger than that of attitudes. Why is it so? That is a totally a different story altogether. That requires a kind of a psychological analysis, which right now actually I am not putting it up in this particular webinar. But then later on, if we got an opportunity, then definitely we will going to discuss this particular matter in length. Sure, for that is for sure. Now, strong. What another characteristics that we have seen is that we are quite strong as a follower, but then we are not very strong, or rather weak as a leader. Means whenever a particular product is being offered for the first time in the market, we always reluctant. Normally people in Indian situations, that the people are basically normally are quite reluctant to go and buy that particular new product. They always want to see, like, if somebody has purchased and what is their experience of that particular purchase. They always want to review that, and then after that only they used to buy the particular product. So that kind of attitude is there, that kind of an approach is there. And that's why we have observed that there are very few front runners, but then rest are maximum of them are basically the followers. And another what is important aspect, what we have seen in Indian scenario, especially the consumer scenario, is that we easily accept the beliefs. I mean, whatever the beliefs are there, we easily accept it. Now, beliefs are something that keeps on changing from one place to the another place. But the point is that even if we move from a one place to the another place, if we see that there is some sort of belief is there, we started accepting that particular belief too, irrespective of the fact that whether it has a kind of totally a different magnitude to the beliefs that I normally carry from one of my own place. But still we accept such kind of beliefs. So so in a way, if I look into all these particular points, probably you'll find that the strongest point for which actually the entire such kind of changes that actually is there, or certain characteristics that is there in which Indian consumer is basically the emotions. That because our emotions are strong, and as because we are not thinking everything from a rational perspective, and that's why what we have seen that our perceptions are stronger than attitude. We are strong being a follower rather than a leader, and we also accept all sort of beliefs what is available across us. Moving on. Now, this is a process of Indian market. Perhaps whatever so far we have discussed, you might have seen everything out here in this particular layout. Yes, the large scattered market is there, and then diverse and heterogeneous. But apart from this, if you look into the another aspect which is very, very important in this case, is that this low standard of living. Till now, yes, this is the reality that in India, since it is basically being dominated by the middle class, I mean, that is a caption word, middle class. So there are a lot many ways to define this. I'm just bringing in general that particular caption here. And since we are dominated by this middle class, and somewhere or the other, we realize ourselves that our standard of living is comparatively low. And because of that only, it has a direct impact on the pricing factor aspect of a particular product. Whether it is a product or a service, ultimately the pricing factor plays a very, very important role in Indian market. So this is one aspect, and then later on only we find this kind of product is there, whether the products are available or we have ample of varieties of product around us or not. And when it comes to a product case, as I said that since we are, most of the time we are focusing on the rural market, and that's why the distribution factor comes into the picture, because this distribution, if it is not available, if it is locally not available, they are not actually interested to buy a product going far from their villages to the towns and then to buy the particular product, unless that particular product is so special for them to buy. So that's why the distribution system, the channel, that also plays an important role in the particular process. And in fact, if you look into all these aspects, the thing which actually coined together, the things which actually connected each other and try to connect each other and then present a particular product to the mindset of the people is basically the promotion. So that's why one of a good one of a way of promoting a particular product is advertisement, and that's why I have just picked up today the discussion related to the Indian advertisement and the social chains. So if I talk about this, when we talk about this media uses, what we have seen is that Indian market is basically well bonded community structure. Now, this is very important and very, very interesting that in our situation, it is basically we are having a kind of a well bonded community structure, and that is why the community feel, if the community feel is presented, in that case, the particular product is you can easily popularize the particular product among that particular lot of customers. So that's why it is very, very important. And again, just referring back to that particular percentage of 54% who have exposed to the medias, and rest that 46% percent is what we are how we can capturing it. For that purpose, if we look into what we have seen, that it is the word of mouth which is an important message carrier in rural India. And let me tell you, even in the urban areas also, till today, this word of mouth is an important media through which one can penetrate the market. Now, opinions of the spiritual and religious leaders also have a very, very strong impact in Indian situation, and that's why the promotion of any product in the rural market, be it a rural market, semi-rural market, semi-urban market, or a urban market, everywhere probably you will find that it has an impact, yes, but then the intensity is more in the rural market, that the spiritual and the religious leaders, if they endorse something, means all are following them blind-eyed, and that's why they it is the target of the marketeers that try to first capture all these spiritual and religious leaders, and if they endorses their product, means they have won half of the battle in that particular challenge, a challenge of capturing the market. So street shows are quite popular in villages, and at the same time in the semi-urban places also you'll find that the street shows are quite popular along with the theaters. And then there are many examples of effective street shows being employed to promote a product. We have seen so many things. And in fact, at certain point of time, the government of India or the ministry, at the ministry level also, when they thought that, yes, they want to publicize certain things, especially if I'm talking about the awareness of the customers part, in that case also, although they are using the other medias, but still they also use this street shows, because through that only they try to penetrate the awareness level among the people. And one of our classic example was the Jago Grahak Jago campaign. Then wall paintings are used in villages to promote products, because there are a lot many walls are available across, and that can be quite easily being capitalized and do the painting and then promote the particular product, and which is really effective in the rural areas also. And then audio announcement in the bus stands, is another aspect, another way of promotion, which is really having a very significant impact on the mindset of the people. Perhaps one of a classic example was the Dabur Lal Dantamanjan. That is a kind of a example which create a history, that when they were that was being used in the bus stands, they were they were being published in the bus stands. The product promotion, the brand building was created after among the people of India. So it has a big impact. And of course, the malls, discotheques, and the pubs are most sought after young urban lot in India. So yes, we the media uses. The people, the basically the advertisers, they also try to highlight their advertisements in all these places to capture the mindset of the young urban lot. So, moving on to this, we have right now discussed about the media uses. Now, we are now moving on to the advertising in India. And this is the second part of my discussion, where I'll be focusing on the advertising in India, again from those social changes factors like conformity, status quo, continuity, and evolution. So I'm sure like the participants are not getting or not feeling bored from the long discussion that I am making right now. Anyway, now let us come to the advertisings. How the Indian advertising is being made in India. Try to bring certain changes in the mindset. Now, if I look into the social sense of the conformity factor, there what we have seen that many people, many Indian people, they always want to feel esteem of using a certain product. It is not that I have purchased a product, and this product, whether I like it or not, that is not the thing. But then to showcase it in front of the others, or just to give a kind of a popularization, by doing that, they always try to showcase that yes, I am really feeling esteem of using this particular product. If I look into this particular psychology, perhaps I'm not talking about the present situation. If I just go back to early 80s and beginning of 90s, not exactly beginning of 90s, during the 80s only, uh, Indian consumers are having more inclination to purchase foreign products. That is how they feel that they are feeling like they are that esteem feeling is there in in their in their approaches in their society. They always think that if I use foreign products, means I'm always being clubbed as a some sort of different category in the society. So that field esteem is one of a important aspect out there. And of course, the Indian advertisements, they have also tried to capture that particular psychology, that particular understanding, and they were using in different advertisements. I just want to show you one particular example of it with one advertisement that and of course in my these presentations, most of the cases, although you see that advertisements may be of different types, the print media, it may be of moving media of whatever, but I'm just taking some advertisement television ads, so that it will be more comfortable for you to connect yourself to those particular situations too. So that just have a look into this particular advertisement, which basically focusing on the arts for foreign products. Have a look into it. May I request the host kindly to say that whether the video and the audio is there or not in this particular video. I'm playing it.
Yes, sir, it is visible as well as audio is also available.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
made in India. I bought it from there. Now available in 2 models. Push, the number 1, 2-in-1. ये देखो, latest. अरे मुर्गा! हटना भाई जरा. Okay, welcome sir, welcome. One packet Japan bud, very good. Radio cassette 2-in-1. Are you sure it's Japanese? Sure, pure Japan mal, CD quality, push radio cassette. Kitna? Very cheap, only $200. Cash. एक मिनट. चले, push, the number 1, 2-in-1. Push, the number 1.
Okay, so that is, yeah, so this is about that use of the foreign products. I mean, that has been rightly been captured by the advertisers, and that's why they were using that particular psychology in their advertisement. Now, another thing is what actually I was highlighting here is that whenever we talk about the field esteem, we all also look into the owner's pride. I mean, it's all about like, I have something. What you don't have, I have something. So that particular feeling is always a big kind of a characteristics of Indian consumers. So that's why they always want to buy something, some product which is really unique in nature, and since they are having it, so that's why the others are not having, so that's why they always try to get or to try to feel the particular esteemedness in their in that particular moment, I mean that particular period. Because you see that once one particular item is being purchased for the first time, and obviously you can enjoy that particular uniqueness of purchase maybe for few months or maybe for few days, then after that obviously the others will also going to buy the particular product. So anyway, as I said, that like that in India we have lot many followers than that of the leaders, so that's why that is there. But then that particular period, it may be very less in nature, but still, for that particular period, the people really enjoy that particular life, and that is what being also captured. And what we have got some advertisements which are basically focusing on that kind of an expectations, that kind of the anticipations of the Indian consumers, that give me something which is really different from the others. So I'm just going to now share you with you one of another advertisement video, which definitely will take you back, and then it will connect you to this particular aspect of owner's pride.
Don't ever compromise. It will haunt you every evening. So, you bought the TV you always wanted. Cheers to that. I know your choice, but don't look at other brands too. Just feel the difference. These centimeters FST, multifunction on-screen display, 13-channel preset memory, two-way twin-angular four-speaker system, electronic. When Onida performs, everybody goes speechless. Onida, neighbors envy, organized pride. Don't just envy the Onida TV. Buy it. Onida, neighbors envy, owners pride. Bringing home your dream TV. Celebrate. And never mind the neighbors.
All right. So that is a collection of Odida ads that we have just compiled, so that one can go back to those days of starting of the 80s to the middle of the 80s until the later part of the 80s, where this particular product, this TV, the color TV of Onida, always a matter of owner's pride and neighbors anyway. Anyway, then moving on. Yes, in conformity segment only, what we have seen that another aspect which is very you can say very impact having an impact on the Indian consumer is basically home and family bondage. Our social structure is as such that we always have a kind of a family bondage, and we are always having a close connections with our all the family members within our home. But at the same time, what has happened that at various points, because of the urge to earn more or to get a job or anything of such natures, we need to separate from our homes. And especially if I'm talking about the rural India, in that case, lot many people are basically migrated to the different uh, different towns, so that to get some job, to do some economic activities, and for that purpose they always being detached from their home and the family members, and because of that only sometimes or the other they always have a feeling that yes, if I get back to home, I would love to go back to my home and meet my family members, that maa ka haat ka bana hua khana, all these sort of things are always having a kind of a connections. And every one of us who are basically not in our hometown, obviously we always have such kind of a feeling that yes, at least one or twice we should go back, and we should have a close connection, I mean close meeting of the of my our all family members, and then a kind of those home bondage is very strong among us. And that has been captured by the Indian advertisers very nicely. They have actually captured those things, and they have presented these things in different advertisements. Perhaps if you look into the advertisements across in India for say last 10 or 15 years itself, you will find that there were so many advertisements which always have a such kind of home and family bondage. However, I just want to show you one of a video, one of a particular advertisement which is not a present situation, not of this particular era, but I'm talking about the 80s, early 80s, or maybe during that 80s part. And this particular advertisement has make a remarkable change in the mindset of the especially the rural Indian people, and have could able to capture their mind, and then they really purchase this particular brand. The brand becomes very popular because of this advertisement. What is that? Let us just have a look into it.
राम काका, अरे बबलू, यहाँ क्या कर रहे हो? सब गुस्सा करते हैं, मैं घर छोड़ के जा रहा हूँ। अरे, घर में तो मम्मी ने गर्मा गर्म जलेबियाँ बनाई है। जलेबी? तो क्या तय किया आपने? जाना तो है, मगर हाँ, मगर 20-25 साल बाद अनोखी शुद्धि का अनोखा असर, धारा।
Right, and so I'm sure like many of us got nostalgic with looking into this particular advertisement. And yes, in this advertisement, if you look into, there are three aspects which have been very prominently being shown, which directly has a connection with the the psychology of the rural people, because you see that yes, घर से छोड़ के जाना है means I have to leave this home, that is one side. And that Ramu Kaka, that is actually the person who is not a member of my direct family, but then the relatives, the near about, the family friends, they always have a very strong relationship with us. So that's why that Ramu Kaka factor. Then later on, like mummy ne घर पे जलेबी बनाई है means the people, the thing, that particular feeling, that is yes, mommy is cooking certain things, certain items which I always cherish for. So all these things has a very close and emotional linkages, for which ultimately this particular advertisement was a blockbuster advertisement in the rural areas, because because of that only Dhara could able to make an entry into that particular rural market. And what I'm saying is not basically just because of a facts or figures, but then I'm referring to several research studies and several reports that has been published basically in the business equity in Economic Times and then Business Today magazine. Now, another aspect, moving on to another aspect, which is in line with this conformity part of social change, is basically to, I mean, to get yourself connected with the pocket. Means pocket in the sense means whatever my budget is, accordingly I just want to purchase the product. Now, you see that in many a times what we have seen, that according to the budget only we react. And for a long time after the independence, if we look into the common customer psychology, or you can say consumer psychology in Indian scenario, that calls upon, like, they are not into those kind of impulse purchasing, what usually we right now it is available, or right now it is rampant across. But previously we never had such kind of impulse purchases. Can't say exactly never, but then yes, very less numbers. We may have a very less number of impulse purchases, but in maximum cases we were not having such kind of impulse purchases. And of course, still the scenario continues till the point of liberalization of Indian economy. uh, and along with that, of course, we have certain characteristics, like the low income is one of a factor, and then low savings is another factor that we are looking about. And then those uh, means jindagi jinda dil sort of concept. I mean, we always feel free, I mean, take free sort of approaches. All these actually has these type of characteristics has an impact on us while purchase or making up kind of a purchase. So that has been very nicely being captured by the Indian advertisements, and they used to show it just to meet up the requirements. Means in India, as I said, that there is a heterogeneous community, I mean, spread over in terms of the economic considerations. Also, you'll find such kind of changes is there. Very rich people and a very poor people, and in between the middle class is out there. So according to their requirements only, we have to customize the products, and that has to be communicated to them. And that's why several advertisements were there. Several, you might have seen the sachet packets being introduced. The small packets are introduced. Different weights of packages are being introduced. uh, so like that way, you'll find not many changes that has been made in the packaging part, in the selling process, and also that also been highlighted even in our advertisements. There were so many advertisements which actually brings such kind of they describe such kind of changes that has taken place in the packaging part. And because of that only, I mean, they could able to capture the mindset of the viewers. So one of the advertisement which actually I just want to show it, share it with you. And this particular advertisement has a very strong impact in most of the parts of India, whether it is a urban or that of uh, village or a rural area or semi-urban situations. Everywhere this particular advertisement has an impact. So it had an impact. So that's why I want to share this particular advertisement with you. Here it goes.
ज्यादा चले, खूब चले।
Okay. So that was an advertisement, and I got a one particular information here is that someone is presenting. So I'm no longer actually presenting the cases. So may I request the other one to kindly close their presentation so that I can continue with it.
Sir, I have already removed him. You can start again.
Okay.
Pranjan Thakulia, please stop your presentation.
Again, he is presenting.
Again, yes, sir. Again, I
Yeah.
remove him. You can start now.
Yeah, thank you. No, I thought like probably he is not very happy looking into my presentations. Maybe that's why I say that it's a knocking. That okay,
No,
enough is
no,
enough.
no.
You have to stop it. Just kidding, just kidding. Please don't take me otherwise. Anyway, now moving on from this particular point to the next feature, that is the status quo. So now when it comes to this particular aspect, what we have seen that in India, yes, people are having a kind of a different behavior, and this particular change, as the social change, is very you can say very important, because the people in India, they actually at certain point of time they are looking for their in search of their identity. I mean, they were facing a lot of problem, for which they always feel that they have not been they are deprived from taking the full responsibility, and maybe because of that only, somehow or the other, this particular factor becomes a very important factor in their social change pattern. Now, if we look into this particular factor, of course, what we have seen is that our focus, I mean, many of our Indian people, our focus is basically on the savings part before the liberation period, because there are two, things are there. There are differences between emotions as well as the rationality part, and but still, ultimately, what we have seen that we were focusing more on the savings prior to the liberalization period. At that point of time, as I stated, like a lot many people were tempted with an emotional content that yes, I need to save something for my the person who is behind me. I mean, behind me in the sense that the person who are my siblings and the person who are dependent on me. For them, I need to have certain savings, and that's why several advertisements were aired at that point of time, which are basically focusing on that particular emotional content. Yes, you might have seen in the screen itself only that let him feel the warmth of your protection always. This is an this is one of a print media advertisement of LIC, at and that was being highlighted as such that yes, since you are thinking more about your child, you are very much concerned about your child's growth and your the child's future, so that's why not you go for do certain savings and do some LICs, so the life insurance policies. So that way, they were trying to bring such kind of confidence to them. In fact, I do not have that particular advertisement right now in my screen, but I want to narrate you with one example of a very classic print media advertisement of LIC. It was written as such that on the very first page, it has it is being written as, it has been stated that emotion has no place in business. In the second page, it is stated like only one word, but. And in the third page, it has stated like, we are in the business with those emotions. LIC, Life Insurance Corporation of India. So you see that how creatively, that particular advertisement was designed, and how nicely they have uttered these things. It is obviously, when I'm giving you an example, maybe around 84 or 85. At that point of time, this particular print advertisement was there. But then you see, at that point of time, when people were always, worried about whether to go and invest my money in the life insurance policies or not, they were having certain doubts into it. At that point of time, they are coming up with such kind of beautiful advertisements where the content is so nice that it creates a kind of creates a kind of an emotional bondage of a person, of the consumers with the LIC. So such kind of advertisements has a strong impact on Indian consumer psychology. But at the same time, in some of the other advertisements, the producers, or you can say the particular product, they try to showcase that even though their product is comparatively high price, but still their price, those high, even if it is those products are high price, still the usage is very large. And through that, they try to showcase the saving part. Well, there were so many examples of such kind of advertisements across us during that period of time. But I just want to show you one of our examples, which was very famous at that point of time, and I'm sure, like, many of the participants who are here who are not very young, they will definitely connect themselves to this kind of advertisement, this particular advertisement. Let us just have a look into it.
ना ना, 4 नहीं 3 रुपए। मैं तो 3 रुपए दूंगी बस। ललिता जी, आप हमेशा सोच समझ कर ही खर्च करती है ना? हाँ, बेशक। फिर भी आप सब खरीदती हैं। देखिए भाई साहब, सस्ती चीज खरीदने में और अच्छी चीज खरीदने में फर्क होता है। वो कैसे? तोल मोल के हिसाब से देखिए तो आधा किलो सर्फ पूरे 1 किलो सस्ते पाउडर के बराबर होता है। इसलिए सर्फ की खरीदारी में ही समझदारी है। और धुलाई? सर्फ से कपड़े सबसे अच्छे और सफेद नजर आते हैं। इस नन्हे नटखट के भी। लेकिन पैसे? भाई साहब, अब थोड़े से रुपए बचाने के लिए मैं इतना सब कुछ क्यों छोड़ दूं? क्यों? हाँ? ए भैया, ठीक से तोलो। ललिता जी ठीक कहते हैं, सर्फ की खरीदारी में ही समझदारी है।
So that is Lalitaji's campaign, and it's basically the surf using this Lalitaji campaign. So yes, this way, it was in focus that yes, savings are very important, and through this kind of advertisements, they try to focus that even if the price of the product is comparatively on a higher side, but still the usage part. If I talk about the usage part, yes, you can get some more uses than that of the other common detergent powders. So that is how they were highlighting their advertisement. Then yes, at certain point of time, the ethnicity, the feeling, as I said, that a home feeling and the family bond is very strong. Along with that, our feeling towards our community, towards the ethnicity, and towards the separate, several movements based on such kind of ethnic developments are always being most sought after among the consumers of India, because they always like to or love to see to be a part of that particular movements, or to that particular type of feelings presentations. And that is what basically most of the advertisements have tried to capture the mindset, and then they try to prepare their advertisement. And such kind of advertisement actually really has brought a kind of a remarkable change in the mindset of the people. Yes, in the urban areas, how far it has a kind of an impact or not is quite questionable, because many studies have revealed that it hardly has much of an impact on the urban scenario. But if we look into the rural areas, yes, such kind of advertisements really has a big impact. one of our advertisement that I just want to share with you, and I'm sure like you definitely would love to go through uh, go through this particular advertisement. And those who have actually kept your video mute, in that case you can also dance to the tune of this particular music too. Here it goes for you.
हीरो काम करता पाने दूध की नदियां बाहे हीरो काम करता पाने दूध की नदियां बाहे कोयल टोको गाए मारे घर आंगना ना भूलो ना मारे घर आंगना ना भूलो ना आटे काम की मक्खन लाए खुशियां छोटी छोटी खुश रह तेरा बेटा बेटी जैसे चमके हीरा मोती तेरे आंचल में तेरे चेहरे की ये लाली लाए मारे मन को चारी आंगन आंगन है खुशहाली हमारे घर झांझर लक्ष्मी के बाजे हमारे घर झांझर लक्ष्मी के बाजे
Well, this advertisement is a very long, duration. So I just, cut it short. But I'm sure, like you got connected with that particular advertisement, the Amol advertisement, which has really has an impact, has a big impact on the Indian society, Indian development, and ultimately, it has a very strong impact on the consumers of India. And at the same time, when I'm talking about the status quo, so far, whatever the advertisement that I have sharing with you, obviously it always has a kind of a very positive impact. All the advertisements, whatever I'll be highlighting or is or have already highlighted to you, are having some impacts. But so far we have shown you some of those advertisements which have a very positive impact onto it. But then there are certain advertisements which also has showcased you as a matter of status, as a matter of status quo. But what has happened is that by having that particular advertisement, it also has a very very negative impact at certain spheres of life, like especially if I'm talking about the pressures the people gives to the others for purchase of certain things which are basically not desired as of now, but still the advertisement has created such kind of attention, intention, then desire and action sort of the ida models being hovered on those psychologies. Because of that only they are becoming very much desperate to buy the particular product, and for that obviously it has an somewhere it has a negative impact either on their families or to that of the society at large. And one of a feature which we have seen from say the late part of 90s till 2000 is that many advertisements they were using certain stunts. I mean they were showing as if like that with that particular stance, if you just have that particular product means you are connected. I mean first of all you have to connect yourself to those particular stunning actions, and then after that you feel yourself like to have that particular product. And and because of that only it has some kind of detrimental impact. Of course there were so many instructions being made. Even if you look into the advertisements there, you might have seen that the performance is being done by some professional stunners. Don't try to imitate it at your home. Such kind of disclaimers are there. But then have you ever seen the font size? Have you ever seen the particular color of that particular sentence? it is not at all visible. I mean, when you are focusing more onto that particular stunning performances, at that point of time, such kind of statements, even if it is appearing on the bottom side of your screen, but still, it is hardly, I mean, very less, even less than a 1% people can have a kind of an attention to that particular statement. So such kind of situation has also occurred, and because of that, only lot of social imbalances are also appeared, occurred in Indian situation. One of a classic example is in front of us. That actually I just want to share with you. Please look into this particular advertisement very carefully, and then after that, I'll again carry on my discussion. Here it goes. Okay. So I'm sure, like, if the students are with us, so obviously they would definitely love this particular advertisement because it portrays certain stunning effect. But let me tell you one point, that when I'm discussing the advertisements, the impact of advertisements on the social changes, perhaps what we have seen that because of this kind of advertisements, ultimately there were a few social issues that has cropped up in Indian in India, especially I'm talking about the Indian consumer part. Yes, if I talk about the rural areas, if I talk about the semi-urban areas, and that too, even in the urban areas with a lower end of income level people, this particular advertisement really creates a lot of challenges, because the young lot, the children, when they have seen this particular advertisement, obviously they got tempted to, because the stunning is always a kind of a thing which the young people always want to, or always want to, or you can say got attracted to such kind of activities. So for that, they could realize that yes, I need a bike like Bajaj Pulsar. I need a bike, then only I can perform such kind of things. Now, when they place this part in their family, obviously it is very difficult for the parents to purchase that particular bike for them, because the price was also comparatively on a higher side. So and since when they say they refuses at the initial stage not to buy the bike for them, that also creates a kind of I mean, family inside a family, some sort of turmoils. There were a lot of emotional throwbacks from one side to the another side is there, and after that, even suppose, like, usually we always have, as I said, there we always have that particular emotional bondage. So ultimately we think that yes, let at least let me try to somehow fulfill that the desire of my children, and for that purpose, from different sources, somehow the other, maybe as a father, I have purchased that particular bike. And then after that, what the next issue that actually crops up is that once they got the particular bike, the children now they started doing practicing that particular stance. And because of that also, I mean, lot many people, lot many young ignited mind. I don't say ignited exactly, but then not many new the promising agers has actually lost their lives also for this sort of activities. And that's why what is happening, what we can see here is that such kind of stunning portrait, although that the court has given and ordered them to give a kind of a statutory warning, statutory disclaimer, which they have also given it. And perhaps in this particular advertisement also you might have seen that on the below screen, there were the particular disclaimer was highlighted. But then, I mean, when we are looking into that advertisement, when we are looking into those stunning performances, at that point of time, I mean, we cannot, or rather, you can say that it is very difficult actually to draw your attention to those particular lines. So that's why everybody normally skips that particular line, and ultimately the result is in front of us, which have a very detrimental impact on on our society. And it was there. Now, of course, the situation is a little bit different. But then, when I'm talking about the later 90s and the early uh, 20s, I mean, early millennium and period and all, at that point of time, of course, it really has a big impact on Indian societal things. So that is another point that we need to focus upon. And then now moving on to the continuity part. In the continuity segment, I mean, as we say that Indian consumers have trusted only those brands which are known to them. So somewhere or the other brands which are not known to them, they normally do not never try to go and have a try onto it. So for that purpose, it is very important that as an advertiser, it is very important for us actually to introduce the product to their mindset. So Indian advertisements also have carried out that particular responsibility of introducing the product to them, and then the different uses of it also. Now, when uh, people were introducing the product, certain point of time, the products are being introduced in such a way that it also highlights about how this particular product is a substitute to the other products. One of our very classic example was with us. One of our advertisement was with us, which actually describes that how tea and coffee being replaced with a soft drink. And that particular advertisement has a very remarkable impact, especially in the rural areas. Now, what is that? Let us just have a look into this advertisement.
बताओगे कॉफी पापा को नहीं चाहिए चाय पापा को नहीं चाहिए अब मम्मी क्या करेगी हाँ I love you Ratna
So, So for the first time in the rural market, Rasna being introduced in such a way that it is a soft drink. I mean, it also replaces the previous usual drinks like lassi and other things. But then along with that, they also try to replace it with the habit of tea or coffee. I mean, if you are not interested to have tea or coffee, in that case, better you go with Rasna soft drink. In that way, that they have made a penetrated the market. And at the same time, the Indian advertisements also take the responsibility of describing the uses of the product. I mean, whenever a particular product is introduced, you are making a kind of a advertisement through which you can create some kind of attention and interest on that particular product. But then to in order to desire to buy the particular product or to finally purchase the particular product, for that purpose you did a little bit of more content analysis. That is what, if I just put it in the advertisement arena, we were they try to give more description about the uses of the particular product. They have a lot many, there were a lot many examples which actually highlight all these things. Like you might have remember that famous advertisement of Maggie 2 minutes noodles. I mean, Holo, and then those of hair colors, Holo, Kato, and Lagao. All these advertisements actually describes that how to use the particular product. Now, uh, another important aspect which actually the Indian advertisement, through the Indian advertisements, that is, some of the products actually brings sea changes in the mindset of the people, especially when I'm talking about the health and hygiene part. uh, in fact, one of this advertisement which was actually aired in 2019. At that point of time, they have never actually thought of that whether this advertisement will be a blockbuster during this pandemic period. But later on, maybe it may be an accidental case or whatever, but then this particular advertisement ultimately creates a huge impact on the mindset of the people, and because of that only today, these products are really this particular product is really getting a huge market, and in fact most of the times it is out of stock in the market itself. What is that? Just have a look into this advertisement.
अरे पहले हाथ तो धो लो। शेर भी कभी अपने पंजे धोते हैं दीदी? पंजे तो चूहे भी नहीं धोते मामा जी। शेरों के पंजे भी अब से धुलेंगे, यूरो के भी डूबेंगे हो। खाने से पहले सदा हाथ धोना कभी भी ना भूलेंगे हो। जो हमने सिखाया वो सबको सिखाएंगे, एवरीबॉडी हाथ धो। ना फैले बीमारी जो आदत हमारी, डेटॉल डेटॉल हो। अरे अब कौन जाएगा इतनी दूर? हॉस्पिटल तो और भी दूर है अंकल, वहाँ ना जाना पड़ जाए। कोई बहाने नहीं, अब चलेंगे लेकिन नहीं होंगे हो। इन्फेक्शन मिटाना है, सबको बताना है, डेटॉल डेटॉल हो। खाने से पहले सदा हाथ धोना कभी भी ना भूलेंगे हो। अच्छा बताओ, अब यहाँ कैसे होगा तुम्हारा डेटॉल डेटॉल हो? घर हो या बाहर हो, पानी हो या ना हो, डेटॉल डेटॉल हो। अरे कौन सा कीचड़ लगा? साफ ही तो है। नहीं 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 नहीं, सही से हाथों को धो। ना फैले बीमारी जो आदत हमारी, डेटॉल डेटॉल हो। साबुन से सच्चा है, साबुन से अच्छा है, डेटॉल डेटॉल हो। डेटॉल लिक्विड हैंड वॉशर सैनिटाइजर दे 100 बीमारी फैलाने वाले जर्म से सुरक्षा। तभी तो मामा ने सिर्फ डेटॉल का बोला।
So as I said that at the time when they have made this particular advertisement, they were actually not sure, or they were not obviously they never actually thought that this particular advertisement will be a blockbuster during this pandemic period, and that's why, in fact, the example is in front of us that even the product itself is out of stock. I mean, the brand, that particular brand is out of stock in most of the cases in our market, because everyone was rushing to buy Dettol products, especially for this health and hygiene, situations. So now moving on, the the last part of this particular presentation, I'm talking about this at the last phase, or you can say the fourth factor of social change, which is basically of the evolution. And when it comes to the evaluation part, yes, Indian advertisements has brought lot many changes, and it always has a very strong impact. And one of a good example in front of us is related to the women hygiene part, because for a long period of time, the sanitation and the women hygiene part is not a kind of subject matter among most of the uh, people, most of the families across India, whether it is on the urban side or the rural side, and especially in the rural part, the situation is a bit more pathetic. But then this kind of advertisements has actually brought some sort of sea change revolution, and because of that only this woman hygiene has been promoted. One of the advertisement that I'm sharing with you, which really has a big impact, especially in the rural market of India.
ठीक है, अब टीचर जी इतना कह रही है तो जा बेटा दिल्ली, लेकिन जीत के लौटना होगा।
क्या हुआ? मैं जीत सकती हूँ, पर
वक्त आ गया है विक्स वाला विस्पर चॉइस अपनाने का, जो कपड़े की तरह मुड़ता या सरकता नहीं, बना रहता है और देता है दाग से बेहतर सुरक्षा। समझी? सिर्फ 24 रुपए में विस्पर चॉइस।
So in this advertisement, if you look it very carefully, first of all, that particular linkages of a father and a daughter is being depicted very nicely, because usually this is a biological connections, you can say, that if the daughter is performing well, or the daughter is basically strongly connected with the father. And at the same time, the typical family pattern is as such that the decision has to be taken up by the father, and that's why the father was taking the decision. And then in that way, they try to just be in line with the psychology of the people, and then through that, they introduces this the hygiene part in the later cases. So like that way, you see that there were so many situations where uh, the Indian advertisements brings lot many changes into the 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 dynamics of the particular product in the mindset of the people. Another aspect which we need to see here is that when we talk about the celebrity endorsement, and the Indian advertisements, in many of the advertisements, they uses certain celebrities to that they try to promote a particular brand or a product. And we have seen that it really has a big impact on the common psychology, the common consumers of across India, irrespective of whether it is a urban area or a semi-urban or that of a rural area. I'll just want try. There are so many, in fact, advertisements we have. So I just want to give you a one small example, which is from where you can easily connect yourself that yes, this type of advertisement. In fact, the one which actually I want to share with you right now, this particular advertisement really has a big impact on the entire product. What is that? I will not reveal it right now. Let's just go through this advertisement.
देश के कोने कोने पर विराजमान 12 ज्योतिर्लिंग देश की एकता के प्रतीक है, और इनमें से सर्वप्रथम ज्योतिर्लिंग यहाँ सोमनाथ मंदिर है। शिव जी के इस मंदिर को विदेशी हमलावरों ने तोड़कर हमारे स्वाभिमान और हमारी संस्कृति को तोड़ने की कोशिश की, पर वो हमारी आस्था को नहीं तोड़ पाए। यहाँ से कुछ ही दूर पे 3 नदियों का संगम है, गीता मंदिर और भलका तीर्थ है। क्या ये शिव और कृष्ण के अनोखे मिलन का चमत्कार है, या फिर प्रकृति का जादू? सोमनाथ का ये मंदिर, यहाँ खुशबू है भक्ति, युगों से कभी न दबने वाली श्रद्धा की खुशबू है गुजरात की। आपने माथा टेका सोमनाथ? कुछ दिन तो गुजारो गुजरात में।
So that is the Khushbu of Gujarat, the Gujarat tourism being promoted by Amitabh Bachchan, and obviously it really has a big impact not only in India but across the rest part of the world also. as that particular advertisement has a very strong connections with the heritage of Gujarat, and a person who is endorsing is reliable one, and then that of like the person who actually want to go into or venture into such particular type of places. So there's a good connection, and because of that only, those type of advertisement has brought certain amount of changes in the mindset of the people. It also encourages lot many people to become a tourist, and you know these advertisements has a strong impact on the psychology. That is what is more important. But then at the same time, in this particular type of evolutions, there were certain wrong communications were also being made. Certain products are being highlighted as such that it has a very good impact on on them, but ultimately whether the usage part is correct or not, those things are not being highlighted. And because of that only, ultimately the people who got tempted to buy the product got rushed to buy that particular product. Then after that, once they purchase it, then they find hardly there is any sort of changes. One of a very classic example beforehand, I mean, if I'm talking about 80s and 90s, was the Fair and Lovely 14 days challenge of Goreban. So then after that also we have seen such kind of practices are were on, and at different point of time such kind of things are creating lot many confusions, lot many changes. One of our example right now, which is really having an impact, especially on the young youths, and this advertisement has a huge impact onto them. But ultimately, there was a problem. There is an issue. What is that? Obviously, I will discuss it later on. But first, let us see this particular advertisement.
बहुत सुन लिया। हम कहाँ बने हैं बॉडी बनाने के लिए? इंडियन डाइट में प्रोटीन से ज्यादा माँ का प्यार होता है। आखिर हमें बॉडी बिल्डिंग विरासत में नहीं मिली, मिली है तो सिर्फ मेहनत, मेहनत जो कमियां नहीं गिनती, जिसे सालों का लो प्रोटीन नहीं दिखता। ये जानती है हमारी बॉडीज बनी बनाई नहीं आती, बनानी पड़ती है, और इसी मेहनत को ज्यादा प्रोटीन देने के लिए बना है मसल ब्लेज बायोजाइम वे विद एनहांस्ड एब्जॉर्प्शन फॉर्मूला, इंडियन बॉडीज पर टेस्टेड एंड प्रूवन। ये देता है 50% ज्यादा प्रोटीन एब्जॉर्प्शन और बेटर मसल ग्रोथ। मसल ब्लेज बायोजाइम वे, बना आपकी मेहनत के लिए, बना इंडिया के लिए।
Now, right then, if you look into the content of that advertisement, yes, people, the young lots are very much encouraged, enthusiastic to create, to develop a such kind of a body, and for that purpose, that in order to have that such kind of a physique, they are very much becoming desperate to buy the product, because the language is also as such that विरासत में ये नहीं मिला है, but लेकिन मेहनत मिला है, something like that. So obviously, uh, the people got tempted to, and people got connected to that advertisement, and they started buying it. But every one of us actually, I'm sure we understand the fact that if you are using a kind of a such kind of supplements, in that case, whether your body metabolism is actually breathing to that particular supplement or not, that has to be for check it out, and then only you can use this particular product. So such kind of things are not at all being highlighted in this type of advertisements. People may argue on to the point that yes, it is there in that particular bottle in the thing, but let me tell you, those people who are hardly having any knowledge about English literatures or English language, or maybe that is a second or the third language for them. I mean, they hardly find it convenient to go through the particular entire instructions that is stated in the bottle. Then after that, they go for buying the particular product. It is not possible. They for them, this particular type of advertising media is enough for them to convince to whether to go for buying the product or not. and that's why they were persisting. And because of that only, there were a lot many detrimental effect also to the health of these young stars. So another aspect of which is there, I mean, this is the last point. Obviously, after that, I'll try to wrap it up. Uh, that this advertisements were basically, following some sort of prevailing situations, and that has always have a impact on the gender perspective. If we look into several advertisements, we find that such kind of indifferences is there, and that is that in the later cases, obviously, there is a gradual change, that has emerges. But then, if we look into the early stages of advertisements, we find that such kind of, gender discrimination, you can say, is prominent. Just have this particular advertisement, and then after that, I'll describe the thing for you.
आइए जनाब आइए क्या क्या चाहिए जी वो हाँ एक प्रेशर कुकर चाहिए प्रेशर कुकर क्यों नहीं आप अपनी बीवी से कितना प्यार करते हैं ये तो बताइए क्या मतलब है आपका मतलब है मान लीजिए आप अपनी बीवी को सिर्फ थोड़ा सा चाहते हैं अगर तो कोई भी चलेगा प्रेशर कुकर थोड़ा ज्यादा लगा है जनाब तो थोड़ा अच्छा प्रेशर कुकर लेके देंगे आप अगर अपनी जान से भी ज्यादा प्यारी है इनकी जान तो फिर ये 100% सुरक्षित प्रेस्टीज लेके देंगे श्रीमान लेकिन प्रेस्टीज ही क्यों क्योंकि सिर्फ इसी में है अनोखा गास्केट रिलीज सिस्टम जिससे जरा भी खतरा नहीं रहता ये देखिए ये इस तरह काम करता है अगर कुछ दाने वेट में फंस जाए तो साधारण प्रेशर कुकर में जरूरत से ज्यादा प्रेशर जमा होने से खतरा पैदा हो सकता है लेकिन नए प्रेस्टीज में सेफ्टी प्लग कैसा भी लगा हो अनोखे गास्केट रिलीज सिस्टम की वजह से आप सुरक्षित रूप से बाहर निकल जाती है जी तो प्रेस्टीज ही दीजिए जो बीवी से सचमुच करते प्यार वो प्रेस्टीज से कैसे करें इनका
So this is an advertisement of the Prestige. Now you see in this particular advertisement, the product is comparatively a low-end product, but for that purpose also, you see that only the husband has to say what they want to buy, and as if like he is not sure what is important, what is required, the wife need to knock him up and to say that I need a pressure cooker. We need a pressure cooker. And in the advertisement itself only, there were classifications as to that. If you like a little bit, in that case, this type of, if you like your wife a little bit, in that case, you have this particular type of pressure cooker. If you like something more, then you can have another one. And if you really like it, I mean, from the core of your heart, in that case you go for prestige. Now what this kind of classifications, I mean, obviously if you look into all these particular advertisement, there were a lot many elements of such kind of discrimination was focused at that particular point of time. You might have seen that at various point of time, this is a typical Indian scenario also. The proper recognition has not been given, especially to the homemakers, and for that purpose, in advertisements also it has been reflected in many a times. One of the example that I just want to share with you, and just have a look, and then you can easily realize what actually I just want to highlight here.
एम्प्लॉय ऑफ द ईयर एक भी सिक लीव नहीं ली मैंने कमाल का कब है ना
पापा वैसे सब मम्मी के कब का कमाल है
मम्मी का कब
हाँ वही जिससे आप हेल्दी रहते हो और रोज ऑफिस जा पाते हो नेचुरल केयर रेड लेबल नेचुरल केयर इंडिया की केवल एक ऐसी चाय जिसके 5 आयुर्वेदिक तत्व बनाए आपको अंदर से स्ट्रॉन्ग ये साबित हो चुका है रेड लेबल नेचुरल केयर बीमारी कम कामयाबी ज्यादा
So that Mamika cup, the way it was